Today is June 8th, 2009. I am Andrea Mott. It is a pleasure to conduct this interview for the Dakota Memories Oral History Project in Napoleon, North Dakota. Can you please state your full name, including maiden name?
Margaret Schaffer Gross.
When and where were you born, Margaret?
I was born in Logan County on the family farm.
Have you ever heard an interesting story about your birth?
Yeah,
Can you share that with us?
should I? Well, I had a midwife or something, and she couldn't do nothing. So they went to town with the horses, which was about 14 miles, and got a doctor. The doctor came out, and of course I was coming upside down, and so I was born that way. We're lucky that both of us survived, my mother and me. They didn't expect either one of us to pull through.
And was the doctor able to help along with that then?
Yeah.
Well, can you please share some of your earliest memories with us?
Well, way back, I can remember we lived with my grandma. My grandma, Julia Schaffer, and two of the daughters and the youngest son lived with us. We lived with them from my mother dad got married at 25 until 33. And then my grandma and the rest of the girls, the uncle got married and he lived there, around there. And my grandma and the two girls moved across the river to Solon, North Dakota. And then I can remember that, and I was maybe 3-4 years old when that happened. I remember growing up with my grandma and the family.
And what was your grandma like?
Very nice lady.
And what do you remember the most about her?
What I remember most about her is how she was dressed with these long dresses, and she had long wavy hair and rolled them up into a bun. Black hair, and I used to get to wave her hair, and comb them out all the time, and I always got to sleep with her. And so I was her girl and whatever. And then she taught me all my prayers in German, of course. And then she always would say, the last prayer she used to say was, in German, if I'd only be dead by tomorrow morning. And I asked her how come, and she said, well, then she would be with Grandpa, for her deal. And every night that was her last words when she said her prayers.
Do you remember anything about your grandpa?
No, he was dead. He died way back. He was only 8 years old, I think, when he died, Jacob Schaffer.
And how many aunts and uncles did you have?
Oh, I must have had, on the Schaffer side, I think there was 6 of them. And on the Locher side, my mama was a Locher. There was one brother.
And did you often see your cousins and aunts and uncles?
Not too much. They all were moved away or lived not around Napoleon.
Did you have to travel a lot to see them? Or would they travel?
Yeah, they come too, and yeah.
How often did your aunts and uncles visit?
Oh, at least once or twice a year. Once a year, mostly. They were from Billings, Montana to Minnesota, South Dakota. They were far away in those days. That was far. Well, those from Montana, they worked on the railroad, so they got a ride with the railroad.
Did you have a favorite aunt or uncle?
Yeah.
And who was that?
My Aunt Dorothy, my mom's sister, her youngest sister.
And what do you remember the most about your Aunt Dorothy?
My aunt?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she'd always supply us with things we couldn't afford, But every time she came, she brought us a little ring or brought us a little dress or something. We always got gifts from her.
And where did she usually live?
Down in Hope in South Dakota.
And can you tell me a little bit about your cousins?
Yeah, well, we weren't that close to any of them, really, except the Schaffer, Paul Schaffer's family. We kind of lived together for a little bit when they took over the St. Anthony's store. So we got close to them. And then I had a cousin, Eloisa Schaffer. She was Joe Schaffer's, my other uncle. They lived in Wishick. And she worked for us in the summertime, so she was my big sister. We always called each other, yeah.
Was she your favorite?
Yeah.
What would you do during these family gatherings?
Play games. What we like to do, we like to dress up and have weddings and pretend weddings or have church. And we had no dolls, so what we did, we tied together dirty clothes or whatever and made dolls and stuff and played with them and anything like that, but we never had anything.
So you made most of your toys then?
Yeah, out of clothes, you know. And of course, when we had church, played church, everybody wanted to be the priest or the minister. He used to follow about that, fight over that, but we always got along good.
Was your family pretty religious?
Yes.
What church did you attend?
St. Anthony's Catholic Church. A rural church out of Napoleon, Southwest, about 12 miles.
So who was the strict parent for you, your mother or your father?
They weren't strict. I can't say anything.
What do you remember the most about your father?
Being sick, yeah. He liked to play cards, and he taught us to play cards. I played profrons with him before I went to school. That's some kind of a card game. And he liked company. He liked to go and play cards and whatever and visit.
Did he have a lot of visitors?
Not too many. So, Sundays we did either somebody would come to your place after dinner, or next time you'd go to their place at the farms for dinner and visit. And
would you take any special dishes with you when you would
no,
visit?
we just took turns cooking dinner. We always had chicken noodle soup Sunday. That was the number one
and how
main
did you
dish.
make chicken noodle soup in those days?
Cooked the chicken up and then used the broth for.
But you didn't buy your chicken, right?
We mostly
chicken.
raised it, yeah.
So
And
did you have to butcher the chicken yourself? Or
Oh yeah.
Can you explain how you would do that?
Cut the head off and then scorch it in hot water and put the feathers off, and then you wash them and then you went and took out the insides, whatever, and cut it up and soaked it in water till it was good, and then you cooked it.
So it would take a while then.
Yeah.
Do you know how your parents met?
Not exactly, but my mom worked for her aunt, the Brendels, and that was about 3 miles from where my dad lived that summer. She stayed with her dad until she was 18 when her dad died, and then one winter she went down to Hooven, South Dakota. Then she worked for Brendels, and that's where they met. I think she said in May. She started working for her aunt there, and then they got married in July.
Did your mother ever talk about her wedding?
Not too much. They got married at St. Anthony's, yeah. And then I think they did, or St. John's. I don't remember even where they got married. I think at St. Anthony's Catholic Church, yeah. And then the reception was at the home Schaffer place.
Now, were either of your parents from Russia?
No.
What about their parents?
Yes.
And did they ever pass down any stories from their time
No.
in Russia?
Mm-mm.
They
That's
never
one
talked
thing
about
we
it?
never talked much about. Thank goodness.
Is there anything else you want to add about your parents?
No. We're a small family. There was only me and my sister and brother. And
Now, Now, when did you start going to grade school?
I was 6 going on 7
And where did you go to school?
at Manheim School. I think it's number 1 or 4, I don't remember.
And how did you get there?
We walked most of the time because we only had about a half a mile to school.
And what was that school like?
Well, my first day of school, what I do remember was I got to school and there were all these big guys in school. My goodness, we had some that were twice to 3 times the size I was. There were about 3 of them. And then when I came home that night, I told my mom, I can't go to school. I'm too little. They're all too big for school. I was kind of scared. But it turned out okay.
Was the class large?
Well, there were 5 of us that started school together, and we finished together in my class, yeah.
Do you remember the teachers you had while you were there?
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about them?
I liked them all, that good teachers, yeah.
Were they pretty young?
Well, they were just some of them had college a year or 2, but I don't think most of them had any high school. They were...
Were there more girls than boys in your school, or was it equal?
Yeah.
There were more?
I think we only had 1 boy school teacher. I did.
And what was attendance like there? Did it shift with the seasons? Or how long was your school year?
Well, it was from September to March.
Is that because of harvesting in the fields?
Yeah.
What is your favorite memory about going to school there?
Well, I liked to go to school, but I had to miss a lot of school. I liked school. Because one day a week I had to stay home and do the washing, the baking, and help with it and whatever. So I missed a lot of school. But I liked school, yeah.
Now, you mentioned a lot about working back at home on the farm and in the house. What kind of chores did you have outside?
Milking cows, manuring barns, pitching hay, filling the hay loft with hay, and it was cold, and cleaning the chicken coops once a week, and the calf sheds once a week, that we had to do that. We did that on Saturdays when there was no school. And that's always work, it seemed like, on the farm.
And did you usually get more of the work because you were the oldest?
Yeah.
And your mother, you mentioned her needing help inside the house. What would you help her with inside the house?
Cooking and cleaning. When I was up in age, I did most of the cleaning on Saturdays.
And what would that entail?
What's that?
What would that involve?
Well, scrubbing everything, dusting everything on Saturdays, and baking pies for Sunday. I got stuck with the pies, and I carried that tradition on till now. As you see, I still bake pies.
Good. Did you cook any traditional meals? Did you learn from your mother?
Yeah.
To cook those meals? What would you cook?
Well, most ours was you butchered your hogs, in the fall, and then you cure them yourself, and they were frozen, and so you had all kinds of pork that you wanted, and mostly was pork and chicken. So some people, they had beef, but I could never remember my parents having any beef, butchering their own beef, except for the thrashers, and then Mom was used to buy pieces of roasts, made beef roast for the thrashers.
And did your siblings help around the house as well?
My sister did, yeah.
And what would she usually help you with?
Well, I don't know what I should say. She'd help. She was supposed to clean one side of the house and I the other, but when I was done, I had to go and start over there again because she didn't do it good enough. She helped, but she could have, because she liked to play more.
And how much younger was your sister? How much younger than you?
A year and a half.
Were you pretty close?
Yeah.
Now, how often would your family do laundry when you were growing up?
Once a week, every Monday. Monday was wash day.
And what was that process?
Well, you had to carry the water in and heat it on the stove. And I can not remember too much of where you did it by hand. We had a Maytag wash machine. And so we washed with the machine.
So your house had electricity?
No, you had to pump it. It was a gas motor on there that you had to pump it to start it, you know. And them devils only started half of the time. You always had to kick and kick and kick.
Would it break a lot?
Huh?
Would it break down a lot?
Yeah, it seems, I don't know, corrode shutter or whatever, you know, the spark plug never worked or whatever they had in there.
And who would usually have to fix that?
I think my dad when he was alive, and then between me and my mom, we got it going.
Now, did your mother work out in the fields or outside of the home?
Yeah.
What would she do?
She did plowing in the spring, and she in the fall, or in having make hay and all of that. She cut most of the hay when.
Did she often do those things alone?
No,
after
no.
your father passed away?
No.
Or would she do that?
We had a hired man.
Okay.
Yeah, and he helped too.
Were you ever hired out for work with a neighbor or relative?
I had to work at home.
Needed to be working at home. Now, you mentioned a little bit about the house you grew up in. How did you heat the house during winter?
Coal.
Coal?
And wood.
And who would go get the coal?
Well, we used to drive over to Hebron, I think, and got some coal there, or in town. Sometimes you got them from town.
Was coal pretty cheap?
Yeah, I think it was. I don't remember. But then we gathered wood where if we found some, you know, at trees with and manure, whatever they called them, and
Cowpike?
yeah. With summertime, that's what we used to bake bread and stuff. Yeah.
Did that make the bread taste any different?
No, so much better. And then we had a kerosene stove. I remember when we got our first kerosene stove. When Pa died, I was 14, and we had a kerosene stove then already. Then you could heat your water and stuff on that.
And how did that change the chores you would have to do inside the house?
A lot less.
A lot less work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how did your family keep the house cool in the summer?
There was nothing. Pull all the shades and stuff, yeah. Open the windows if there was any air. There was no fans, no nothing. Well, we had no electricity.
Now, what language were you raised?
German all the way.
And then when did you learn to speak English?
Well, I could speak English when I went to school, but most kids couldn't because I had a cousin, Bernice Simon, in Hoven, South Dakota, and she couldn't talk German. So we had no choice. We had to learn how to speak English.
Were you ever asked to interpret?
No.
I'm going to talk a little bit about the farm life. Where was the closest town to your farmstead?
I think it was Wishick and Napoleon. I think it was about the same. Napoleon was 14 or 16 miles, and I think Wishick was about, maybe Napoleon was 14 or 16. It was a horse apiece, just about.
Where would you go the most?
Wishick. I had an uncle that lived over there, so in the summertime. And then we had a store at St. Anthony's, and so during the week or on Sundays, if we didn't get to town, they bought cream, and so we'd go there. But earlier days, that's where most of the time we went.
Is that where you sold cream?
Yeah.
And how much would you get for the cream?
Oh, I don't remember.
Would you sell anything else in town that would help?
Eggs and cream, you know.
Would your mother buy groceries and stuff like that? What kind of groceries would she buy?
Well, most of the main things was coffee and sugar and spices, and you had your own bread, your butter, whatever that you made your own, and so there wasn't too much.
Did you ever feel like you were isolated?
No,
On the farm?
never did.
And what kind of buildings were on your family's farm?
Oh, we had a big barn and a big granary and a summer kitchen and a big house. We had a big home and a pig barn and a chicken coop and that's it.
And what type of animals did your family have?
Well, we had just cattle, horses. We had horses and cattle and hogs. You raised your own hogs. You raised your own chickens, And
So
for meat.
your family was self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And how about gardening?
Yeah, we had a garden.
What kind of things would you grow in the garden? What kind of
Plants. Well, we had our own with radishes, onions, cucumbers, tomatoes. That's about it. Lettuce. We had your own lettuce and cabbage. And we had it down below near the creek, so we always had a pretty good garden.
Do you think this helped you pretty well during the 30s?
Yeah. I don't remember too much having anything in those days, though. I don't think those days nothing grew. Nothing much, so.
What can you tell us about that time? What was it like on the farm during the dirty 30s?
I don't remember too much, but I don't know how old I must have been, about 6 years old, and my dad, there were thistles, and he'd load the thistles and put overshoes on me, and then I didn't want to go up, so he threw me up into the thistles, and I had to stamp them down. I remember that because, there were stickers, and you sunk down into them, and that's the only thing I can really remember.
And why did he put you up there?
To stamp them down. See, there was just like cotton, you had to down.
And how would that, you obviously had to wear shoes.
Overshoes. I had overshoes on up to my
And
knees.
they still got through those?
And I think you had gloves on, and I know you had a long sleeve shirt or something on because they were really sticky when you got against them.
How long would it take you to clean off?
I don't remember. Then you took them home, and then you unloaded them by hand too.
And what would you do with the thistles after you did that?
Fed them to the cows. They milked very good milk. Gave a lot of milk, I guess, with stickers. I think there was only 1 year. That must have been in 34, maybe. Or 34, 37. I was 6, 7 years old.
1934. Is that when the thistles happened?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you were older, when you were in your teens and you started dating, what was a typical date like at that time?
Well, we had fidelity meetings, and we'd get together. I think it was once a month. Or after church, you got together and made out what you're going to do, that Sunday or whatever when you were old enough to go. Or wedding dances, the only time we got to go to anything. I think.
About movies or anything in town?
I guess I seen one movie before I was married. You never had money to go to. We didn't have no boys to take us, so we never got there.
And is that the time you met your husband, or when did you meet John?
Through church. We went to the same church. We just knew each other all the time, I guess. So.
And when was your courtship? When did that start?
Yeah, well, it wasn't that long because he left for service in 45, I think. In 44, he was drafted, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then when he came back, what happened?
And then we got married, yeah. He got come back in October, I think, and we got married February the next year. Come back in 46. Got married in 47.
And did you have to make your wedding dress, or did you buy it?
Oh no, my mother bought it for me from Penny's, J.C. Penney's.
What do you remember the most about your wedding day?
the cold wind, the storm. I remember most of it, not in details, no. Yeah. When we went to church and then the car froze up and we had to take another car and it was so cold and the wind was blowing. When I went into church, she tore my veil off and then we had to get that on before we could go in and oh, it was windy. And I remember everything about the wedding day pretty much, you know. Then we came home and we ate and then we danced and then we ate again. Then went to Napoleon to the wedding dance in Napoleon and
What was that wedding dance like?
good.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you change
The
clothes,
same
or did you wear
orchestra.
your same wedding
Oh no,
dress?
you kept your wedding clothes on.
Okay.
And the same orchestra that played for the daytime at the house played for the wedding in town.
And was there anything else unusual about that day?
No, not really. It all fell into place.
Was that the day you had originally chosen to be married on?
No,
And why not?
we wanted to get married in the fall or in December. Well then, no, yeah, then his dad said, well, they can't get married because we're going to have a baby. And they're going to have a baby, so we had to wait till the baby was born. That's what pushed it out then to February. The baby that was Leo, his youngest brother, he was born in 46, December the 28th.
And where did you live after you were married?
With my mother. She told us I can get married, but I have to stay 2 years and get married. After
What was
married
that like?
and help out. Worked out good, yeah. But then we rented a little place north of town here and we moved to Loon. We lived there for 6.5 years and then we bought our own farm up south of Tappan.
And how far away was that?
So that was about 20 miles northeast of Napoleon.
Did you have, after you married, what kind of crops or fields did you have on that farm?
Where we moved to or at home?
Where you moved to?
It was mostly for cattle, dairy.
Oh, okay.
Dairy. And that's what John wanted. He wanted to raise cattle.
Can you tell us what your most stressful childhood experience was?
Well, as a child, I grew up pretty good, but when my dad died, and then it was tough. That was the most stressful time.
Why so?
Well, we didn't know should we stay on the farm or shouldn't we, or couldn't afford it hardly, and so my mom said, well, we'll stay on the farm, so we did. And of course, then I didn't get to go to high school or anything, but it all worked out okay. And it was hard work, but
Was it harder because you had a small family?
I guess so, yeah. But we weren't big farmers like the bigger deal where we didn't have that much land and whatever, so.
So it was gardening and the cattle,
Yeah.
the dairy and the cream
Mm-hmm.
the cream and the eggs that kept you going.
Kept us going, yeah.
Did your mother ever talk about how difficult it was for her at that time?
Yeah, but she had a difficult life too, when she grew up. Her youngest brother was 8 days old when her mother died, and she was 2 years old. And then the older girls, they kept them together, so she had a rough life. She always talked about that, so. And then her husband dying that young, she said, yeah, she had a rough life. So.
And what would you consider your happiest childhood memory?
Oh, going to school, going to catechism school, and I guess I just made the best of it, what you could. I can't say that I ever was bored or stuff like that, so. There were times, yeah, but.
What kind of things would you do at school that you really enjoyed?
Play ball, or Christmas programs was what I liked.
Can you explain
Once a
those?
year, we always had Christmas programs, and boy, we looked forward to that. They would put on plays, a little act, and sang Christmas songs, and had Santa Claus come to school, and that was number one, yeah.
Did you ever act in these plays?
Yeah. My class, through school, we only had 3 boys. And we had maybe 18 of us, so there was about 15 girls most of the time. So me and another girl of mine, in my class, we always had to be boys. So we grew up to act boys. That was a lot of fun.
Did you have to dress differently?
Yeah, we had to dress like boys. We had caps on and bib overalls and whatever, and we were the boys.
And how many would you do these Christmas programs? Were they yearly?
Yeah, every Christmas.
How long would it take to prepare?
Oh, I would say from Thanksgiving on, we'd start practicing, and then we had it about maybe a week before Christmas.
And was this open to the entire community?
Yeah, they all had programs, so they always went to other schools, And I know we used to have full house, well, they weren't very big, them schools, and
Was yours a one-room schoolhouse then?
yeah.
Can you explain what it looked like inside?
Just a one-room schoolhouse, and then the entryway was an entryway, and on each side there was coat rooms, one for the boys and one for the girls, where you left your clothes. And then there was a big furnace in the corner when you came in, so there wasn't just too much room. In the earlier days, there were lots of kids. At one time, there was over 20-some. And I think the most when I went to school was 18 pupils. And that was still pretty full then.
And during the winter, what would they use to keep those little schoolhouses warm?
Coal, late night coal. They used to have the big furnaces. Yeah.
Was it colder the farther you got away from the stove?
Oh yeah, you sit by the window. You were cold, especially if it was stormy.
Were you often sitting on the far side of the room away from the heater?
Yeah, well, the little kids got to sit up front so they could see. So the big older you got, you were in the behind, and that was cold.
What was the most adventurous thing you did during your childhood?
I can't even say. Well, we went visiting a lot, but we walked. We used to walk Sundays 4 miles, and then come back home again. But we went to the Shell Buttes a lot and stuff and like that. So we went visiting a lot. And when we got together, we sang songs or tell jokes, and it's the way we grew up, I guess. Play school, play church.
What kind of songs would you sing then?
School songs.
Like, do you remember any of them?
Well, like America, and what was that other one? Home Sweet Home. I know that we liked to sing. And Yankee Doodle Dandy. That was about my favorite ones that I can really remember.
And these were all at school that you would sing these songs?
No, in our homes too.
In your homes too?
Yeah, when we got together on Sundays, or especially in the wintertime.
So during the winter, there are obviously long winters in North Dakota.
Yeah.
What would you do to entertain yourselves at home besides singing?
We played cards a lot. Yeah.
What kind of card games?
Marbles, checkers, and well, at that time we played West or Chin Rummy or something like that, or Pig or whatever,
what's that?
Spoons. You put spoons in, and then you had to say if you have 2 4s, and then you could put them away. And the one that was last with the card, and then they had to take spoons, and the one who didn't get a spoon, there was always a spoon short. Well, they was the pig, what you call it, the
pig.
Used to get a lot of fun out of that. Sometimes everything flew, including even the gas lamp.
It was a pretty ferocious thing.
Yeah, or the kerosene lamp, not the gas, but kerosene.
Did it ever fall?
One time, but we caught it in time, I guess. It's a wonder it didn't start fires.
Was that your favorite? Did you have a favorite of those games?
I like to play West, yeah.
West.
Yeah. And Rummy. There was only 2 of them. You had to play Rummy, or we'd play hide and go seek in the house, or blind man's buff, I think they call it. You tie something around your eyes and you had to find them. Or they'd hide something. Well, there was all kinds of games. You just made up your own games, I guess, most of the time.
To entertain yourself.
Yeah.
Was there anything else about your childhood memories that you would like to add?
Not really, I guess.
Well, in conclusion a bit, why do you think it's important to tell your life story?
What would be important to tell your life story?
Why do you think it's important to tell your life story?
I don't know, just to find out about what other people did too, you know. I think it's all pretty much all the same thing. When we grew up, there was nothing really exciting. Except if you wanted excitement, you had to do it, make it yourself. And we did. We'd like to pull chokes on others and things like that, you know, and laugh a lot.
And are there any other thoughts or observations that you want to share?
Not really. I think we're just all lucky we grew up for what we went through in those days. That nothing happened. And
Margaret, can you tell me who's in this photo? Maybe what's she doing?
that's me, and my grandma was beside me, but they cut that off, and it was just a little snapshot. So when I came across it, I blew it up. I was about 3, going on 4 years old on that picture.
Where was this taken?
And where I grew up down in my family farm, Schaffer farm.
And where's that at?
Oh, it's about 14, 16 miles southwest of Napoleon.
And was that a typical haircut for somebody your age?
For mine, I had straight, stringy hair, and that's all I can remember. That's the pictures that were on were those, you know.
Margaret, what are they doing in this picture? You said they were cleaning out the cow shed?
The cow shed. The
And what
manure
did that
from
involve?
all winter was in there, and so in the spring, we had to clean it out. And
What did that involve?
Went by hand, and that was hard work.
And who usually helped with that?
Well, us kids did. You know, we pretty much did that. While they were doing the spring's work, we had to clean that out. And sometimes it was still frozen that you had to leave till later, till it was open so you could get it out of there.
And Margaret, who are the two girls in this photo?
The bigger one is Margaret, is myself, and the little one is my sister Anna Mary.
And when was this picture taken?
Oh, that was taken about 42 maybe?
How old were you?
42, 14.
Okay.
She was about 12.
And was this typical dress
Yeah.
for that time?
Mhm.
And
Sunday
was it
dress.
Sunday dress.
Mhm.
And what did you usually wear on Sundays?
No, dresses.
Did you
We
wear
wore
them?
dresses most of the time, even in that other picture we had dresses, but we had pants underneath.
Why pants underneath?
Blue jeans, kind of.
Were your clothes mostly homemade, or did you buy any at the store?
These were homemade.
Your mother?
Yeah.
Was she a pretty good seamstress?
No, she wasn't, but a neighbor, Barbara Welder, she did most of our sewing, her cousin.
Did you ever learn how to sew
Oh,
as
yeah.
well?
I wish I'd had those pictures. I gave them to the kids where the girls, the 2 older girls, I made white dresses for them.
Is white significant for some reason?
It was more dressy.
Okay.
Yeah. I gave the pictures out to the kids.
And in this picture, it looks like you.
Mm-hmm.
And what is going on here?
Oh, just wanted my picture taken, and the dog came along and wanted his taken too.
And what was the dog's name?
I think his name was Scott or something like that. We had so many of them, so. It was taken in front of the house, yeah, and I could have been about 15 on there.
And what are you sitting on? Is that a car?
No, we had 2 cement steps going up into the house. Oh, is that a car? I
It
don't know.
looks like a headlight.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is.
And what kind of activities would you do when you were 15 years old? Did you go to town or
No,
what kind of
no.
things
We
you do?
did it and walk up on the Shell Buttes.
And
That's
what was
where
that
we
like?
had our recreation.
What kind of recreation did you have up on the Shelby Buttes?
Oh, just running up and down the deal and looking for seashells. That Shell Buttes is full of seashells. Look for nice rocks, Indian arrowheads.
And did you ever sell those for money or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How much were you able to sell them for?
I don't know. We sold them to my uncle, Adam Locker. Some of them he gave us $1 at the time. Some were white Indian heads and some were, but he got much more for them.
And what would he do with them?
He resold them.
Do you know who he sold them to? Just
Rock collectors.
rock collectors.
Indian head collectors.
Did you ever feel like you were missing out on some of that?
Not at the
Money.
time, but later on as you got bigger. You knew you were.
Now, when you were 15, 16 years old, what kind of activities were normal for youth at that age?
Well, we used to play game ball, play softball and whatever. And
Did you have a
singer,
favorite?
huh?
Did you have a favorite?
Yeah, I'd like to play ball.
Yeah. Didn't they often call it kitten ball as well, or is that the same thing?
No, it was softball.
Okay.
You know, base, you had
Mhm.
home base, 3 bases, and
Now,
we
you
did
go-
that in school too.
Okay. And where did you go to school?
At Mannheim, down just a half a mile from home. We had the school
And
by the Shell Buttes. So
what about high school? Where did you
No.
go? No high school?
finished my DC into correspondence.
Okay. Okay. Was that because you were needed on the farm?
Yes,
And that was pretty normal
yes, it
for
was.
other people your age as well?
It
go
was
back and
normal.
work?
Yep.
Okay.
And being my dad died when I was only 14, why I had to stay home and work on the farm.
And how did your father die?
He was always sick. He had some trouble with his kidneys and bladder, so it just got worse and worse.
All right. This looks like you're out at the farmhouse again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are you standing on?
That is part of, we were redoing the cement in front of the house, and that was part of a little slab left, yeah. The date is up here, I can't see it.
1944.
Yeah.
And when you redid the house, what changed? When you redid the house, what changed?
No, the cement in front, there was a big slab in front,
Okay,
and it
okay.
broke up, and then they do it again.
Oh, okay. They had to redo the cement slab.
Yeah, we had to redo the
Okay.
cement.
Okay. And what did the farmhouse look like?
Well, it's a big house. We had a big kitchen through the middle and a big hallway, and then we had 2, like a front room and a bedroom in the back, and the one side and on the other, and upstairs as big as the house. No basement though. It's a big house.
Did you have to share a bedroom?
Yeah,
And who did you share with?
my sister
Anne Marie?
and the school teacher. We always had most of the time a school teacher there, and then I got to sleep with the school teacher.
Did they tutor you a lot, or did you walk to school together with the school teacher, or?
No, huh? She was just our teacher in school.
And
Oh, she
boarded?
helped sometimes with homework at home. She boarded there for the
Okay.
school year.
And would she help out in the house, or?
No,
Is that just?
no. She
Okay.
boarded there. She
Okay.
boarded her.
This here looks like a wedding photo. Is this your wedding photo?
That's what it looks like.
And when were you and your husband married?
February the 3rd and 47.
And do you remember any interesting stories about your wedding?
Oh yeah, we had big windstorm that day. We didn't have snow, but the cold and wind. Wind was going 40 some miles an hour, I think. Yeah. And the whole wedding was right in the house. We went to church and home, and then we had dinner, and we danced, and supper, and then we went to town and had a wedding dance in town.
Was it traditional?
Yeah.
And what is a traditional German-Russian wedding?
What?
A traditional German-Russian wedding. What are those like?
Well, you go to church, and then you come home, you have to have chicken noodle soup with all the trimmings for dinner. Well, we called it dinner at those times. It's lunch, yeah. And then, of course, danced all afternoon and drank and whatever. And then danced, and then for supper for dinner we probably had roast beef yet, and the trimmings, and then for supper we had the chicken that they cooked soup with, and sausage, and Hochzigkuchen, and usually those days the wedding cake was made with angel food cake decorated.
And who would do the cooking?
We usually had a neighbor lady that did it.
And how long would it take to cook for that
Well,
many people?
we couldn't have that many people in the house. I would say if there was about 20, 25 people in the daytime. But then in the evening, everybody came to the dance. So.
And what kind of dances did you have?
Polkas and waltzes, old time.
What was your favorite?
Waltzes.
Waltzes. Mm-hmm. And was the music there? Was that live music?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember who played on your wedding day?
Well, Acuna, they called him Booney Hoss. He was
that
from
mean?
Braddock, yeah.
Okay.
Booney Hoss, what's that mean? That means a rabbit, a pony rabbit or something. In German, it would mean. And that was after, I think it was taken the day after our wedding, or a few years later, I don't know.
And where is this at the old farmhouse again?
Mm-hmm. Must have been taken in 48 before 47, 45. Because in 49 we moved on our own.
And where did you move to after that? How long before you had
The
your
north
own
of
home?
Napoleon here, about 6 miles.
And where did you live after you were married?
With my mother for 2 years.
And why is that?
Well, she thought she needed me yet, it's 19, just barely 19 we got married. So she said, I can get married, but I have to stay 2 years to help out. So that's what we did.
And what kind of things did you help out with?
Oh, everything. Outside, I had him help milk and haying and whatever there was, gardening and whatever to be done, chicken work and whatever. And then when he come in the house, and then you had to help with the cooking and stuff and dishes and everything too.
Did you have a favorite chore or job that you would do, or was it all just...
No, I don't think so. I don't like milking. I never did.
Why so?
I don't know. It just didn't like it. I guess I'm kind of scared of the cows in the first place. And
Did you have a lot of cows on your family farm?
no.
How many do you think?
Well, I think the most that we ever milked at home was 8.
Okay.
And my family never had that many.
And what is going on in this picture, Margaret?
We were at a wedding, my cousin Bernice Simon in Gettysburg, South Dakota, and that's my sister and myself taken on that picture at the wedding.
And it was your cousin's wedding
Yeah.
in South Dakota. Did you travel often?
Yeah,
that age?
we did.
Yeah.
Twice a year we went down to Open, South Dakota.
Do you have a lot of family down there?
Just my cousins, my one cousin and my two aunts.
Okay.
They lived in Open, South Dakota.
And is this in that town where she was married? Is this on her wedding day?
No, she was married in Hoven. This was south of Gettysburg, South Dakota. It's maybe 20 miles south. That's where the dance was and whatever.
And this is, you dressed up for the dance then?
Yeah.
Okay. And this was traditional?
My sister was bridesmaid.
Okay.
That's why she's dressed in a long gown.
Okay. And yeah, it looks like you're in town. What would you do when you visit town? You just go to dances, or?
You mean at weddings?
What kind of things, yeah, would you do in town?
Yeah, went to the wedding, danced to the wedding, whatever, and the reception that was down there.
Okay.
Wherever it would be.
Do you know how old you were here?
Well, we were married already, so this must have been in 50, I think. So that would be,
A couple of years later. Then.
yeah, I was about maybe 23 on there, 22.
Okay. In this picture, we have some children here. Is this a family photo?
Yeah. This was taken. We went over to Richardson by John's brother Placid. He was become a monk, a brother, and then we went on to the Black Hills, not Black Hills, Badlands in North Dakota, out to where is it? Out at Medora, and then we took that picture at Medora.
And who took the photo?
John. And that was all the kids, yeah. And all the kids did.
And starting on the left, who's the little girl?
That's our youngest one, Benita. And Rosalie, the oldest one, is holding her. And then we've got John, the other little guy, and then we've got Rodney and Magdalene, the other girl.
This looks like a recent photo. And this is you and your husband?
Yeah.
And when was this taken?
Maybe 2 years ago.
Where were you at?
I think we were in Bismarck, and we had one more or two pictures to take, and that's what turned out of it. We wanted to develop the pictures, and so it was maybe in front of Woolworths or wherever.
All right, Margaret, this looks like a wedding photo. Whose wedding is this?
My mom's and my dad's.
And do you remember when this was taken?
July, I think it was July 14th in 25.
And do you know who the individuals are in this photo?
I know the ones on the right here. Here on the right side was Adam Wald. That was my mom's uncle. And my next one, the woman, is Aunt Anna McGilkey. She was my dad's sister. And then is my mom, and then there's my dad. And the other ones, I'm not sure, but I think the man was a bump gardener. That would have been a relative of Dad's, but I'm not sure, unknown.
And was this typical wedding dress attire
Yeah,
for the
yeah, that was
1920s?
a bought, and that was an expensive wedding dress. It was gold, was silk. It's a very nice dress, yeah.
And do you remember where they got married?
I think it's St. Anthony's Church, John. St. Anthony's, or did they did St. John's? I would say St. Anthony's, because the wedding was at my folks' house, so where they lived, so it had to be there.
And in this photo, is this your wedding?
That was, yeah, beside the east side of the house when the wind was blowing 40 miles an hour and cold.
And who are your attendants here?
Okay, the one on this side is Anna Mary Warner, which was John's cousin. Then it's John, and then it's Margaret, me. And then it's my cousin Bernice Simon from Hooven, South Dakota, I talked about.
And was it normal to take pictures outside during the cold months?
No, not that cold, but we wanted some. We didn't have no flash that time. You couldn't take any inside, so you had to take them outside.
So you braved the elements.
Yeah.
And is this before the reception, or when would they usually take
After
photos?
afternoon sometime. Yeah.